Hi friends. In spirituality, we tend to think that the dream of separateness is a problem to solve. But enlightenment simply means being present with what is, which is this moment. Now, we tend to think as dream characters, as Tasia, my favorite teacher, would say, as dream characters in being's dream, or in the dream, we tend to think that separateness is something to get rid of. But the very idea behind the dream was to create separation, was to create separateness. It would be like, if God was only one thing, and it remained one thing, you wouldn't be able to experience two things, which is duality. So duality is not a mistake. Duality was meant to be. So the problem we tend to have is many spiritual aspirants and spiritual seekers, we tend to, look at the ego in the wrong way. Like, oh, the ego is the sense of separateness, the sense of separation is something I must get rid of. As if there was something wrong with the ego in the first place. But wait a minute, this created the separateness in the first place. In order to experience you and me, two things. If there was no sense of separation anywhere, there wouldn't be a game, because there wouldn't be a sense of duality anywhere. So the one had to, apparently, project all this diversity in order to experience itself as two things. When you look at it this way, it changes the whole equation, right? So ego is not something to get rid of. Ego is part of the dream of separation, of separateness, right? And what is, or being, created the dream of separateness. Now, as a dream character, as Tasia would say, and I agree with everything that he says, because I've always, since I was a child, I've always looked at life in this way. I never felt separated from anything, almost never, unless someone would make me feel that way, which, whether it's teachers or school or education, anything like that. But otherwise, I would never feel separate from anything. And what I noticed is that, what I used to notice is that it wasn't the natural state, that most people were feeling separate, that most people were in the sense of separateness. So I was wondering, am I the one that's odd here? Am I the one that's supposed to be in the sense of separateness? And while considering the number of people, which is 99% of people on Earth that are in the ego itself, which is in the sense of separateness, yeah, I was a pretty odd kid because I didn't feel that separation. Almost never felt that separateness, right? But it doesn't make it better. It's just that I always felt different in that sense because I didn't feel separate, right? Until and then I found a teacher who saw life the way I did, who is Tasia Anand. I interviewed him on my channel. You can look at his channel as well. I'll put it in the description below. He's been my favorite teacher because he's the one I always saw life this way, but I wasn't able to formulate it in words and concepts for the human mind to understand. But I always saw life exactly the way it is, which is there is only this, everything. We are just a part of this everything. We're not the doer, we're just energy contracting into something for a little while and then collapsing into nothing. And just enjoying the play. This is the play. This is a theater, like a dream, like a cinema show, where You have the camera and the actors are on. You start playing, you start shouting, you scream, and you know, you cry, and then you just wake up and you remember, oh yeah, that was just a dream. How did I forget that? Right. But my whole life I was looking for someone who saw life this way, and I didn't until I found Teja. And if he looks at this video, if he watches this video, he will recognize himself in this, I'm sure, because we have many things in common. But the point of this video was really to clarify this thing, which is that the dream of separateness, the dream of separation, is not a mistake. And I see so many spiritual seekers and aspirants, and I used to do the same, right? Try to get rid of the ego, try to, you know, look down on people who are in the egoic mode, uh, which is really silly because the very act of this dream was to create separateness in the first place. This dream was to create this duality between you and me in order to experience something. Otherwise, there'd be just nothing. If everyone just woke up and said, oh, that's just a dream, let's not play it, who would play the game? No one. So the dream would collapse directly. I don't know what would happen. Nobody knows, right? But the point is that the dream is not a mistake. The dream is not something to get rid of. Or as Nisargadatta Maharaj used to say, don't you see that trying to get out of the dream is also part of the dream? I didn't get that until very recently. I tried all spiritual paths, met some of the most famous masters in the world, including Sadhguru, Daji. Even though they were wonderful people, I still sensed a lot of spiritual ego in them, which is the sense of being a person, which was not a material sense of being a person, but a spiritual sense of being a person. And I didn't resonate with that so much because I felt, you know, I don't think trees are trying to do that. I don't think plants, animals, or nature isn't trying to improve. So enlightenment is not that. Enlightenment isn't a state in which you need to arrive at. Enlightenment is the ever-present, ever-okay presence of the moment. That's what enlightenment is. And it's not until I found Teja and teachers that really spoke to my heart, with whom I could really resonate, that I felt in my heart, yes, this is what I was looking for. You know, this is enlightenment is just very simple, just reality, being, right? Now, as a dream character, your function in the dream, as Teja would say, and I agree because I always saw it the same way since I was a child, that the function in the dream is to dream, is not necessarily to wake up. Very rarely does it happen. If you look at what's happening in the world, and most people live in the sense of separateness their whole life, and that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no judgment in that. I was never looking for enlightenment. I was looking for peace, for joy, sure. But I experienced some suffering in my life, for sure. But I never looked for an escape out of it. I always felt that that was a trap, and that the escape was part of the game, you know? And so yeah, you know, just to have this clarity is important. So as Maharaj used to say, don't you see that trying to get out of the dream is also part of the dream, right? What does he mean by that? It's pretty simple. What he means is there is no you to either stay in the dream or get out of the dream. Who is to get out of the dream if there's only just this? Just what is? The present moment. How boring. How disappointing. I know. in the beginning I thought the same, you know, is this liberation? Really? Oh my god, this is boring. Give me something else, you know. Give me some psychedelics or some kind of satori, expanded bliss and permanent joy where I can stay there forever. But that's not enlightenment. That's, sorry, I have to bring it to you, but that's not enlightenment. Enlightenment is just what is, just this moment. It's very simple. What I noticed is that very few people actually want that. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. I never wanted that. It just came into my life like this, you know. I had a good life. I was fine with my life. I had some sufferings, of course, but life was pretty good. Uh, but what is true is that it came later on, right? I tried the material stuff, even though I never had an aspiration for like a big career or something. I tried my stuff. I tried the spiritual paths, and I've tried all of them, including Vedanta, Buddhism, all the best paths with the best masters and the best methods, until I came to just the inevitable truth of the moment, and all of that dropped. Now, the thing is that all of that was necessary. Uh, I don't see it as a mistake. Um, that's why, to me, the ego is God's grace. It's God in drag trying to become more conscious of itself, so to speak. The ego is a blessing in disguise. I know it goes against everything that everyone is saying at the moment. Like, oh, the ego is the bad guy, you know. Oh, the ego is really something that we must get rid of. But you know what? Ego is just childhood. Ego is just like the sense of separateness that came when you were a child, and we told you, you know, don't do that. That's bad for you. That creates some contraction, some energy contraction. Then maybe you became shy, or you became too extroverted, you started to speak too much to compensate all these things. That was my case. That's why I'm telling you that. Whatever it is, right? We have very similar stories because, you know, our parents did the best they could. They were themselves in the sense of separateness because that's the natural state of the dreamer. It's not a mistake. So when they passed it on to you, it wasn't their fault, you know. That was their state of consciousness at that time, and that's the state of consciousness of most dreamers, and that's fine. That's okay, you know. That's the dream. The dream is meant to be like that. It's not something wrong, you know. So yeah. The sense of separateness, yeah, came in childhood, and you know, it built in a way that, but you know, now that you have this consciousness, this beingness, this awareness, you're able to overcome those traumas that you were not able to face when you were a child. So if there is an intelligence to the game, which I'm sure there is, because God's intelligence is infinite and pure and beautiful, it's not just random thing. Yeah, there is a randomness to it because it's just what's happening for no reason. But we're also a human here to, you know, we're here to evolve also as a human. So you learn your lessons. I hope you're learning a few lessons from what happened in the past. And so that's why the ego is never the mistake, guys. Like, the ego is essential to the process. I'm speaking from the sense of separation right now, right? In the game, I'm speaking within the game right now. Within the game, the ego is essential because it enables you to grow on the human level, you know, to grow emotionally, physically, mentally, all of that, energetically. And but you grow by being with what is. The greatest healing is not to be a person. The greatest healing is to be what is. Let me repeat that. The greatest healing is not to be a person, even a better person. Not really. You can try that. I tried that, but that's not it. The best healing is truth. What is? Now, what is not against your humanity. What is came into a form for a reason, to experience itself, to grow, to learn, to play, to enjoy, to cry, to laugh, to make money, to lose money, to have friends, to lose friends, to have lovers, to lose lovers, you know, all that kind of stuff. So the ego is not in any way the enemy. The ego is actually an essential process, an essential, essential step of the process of evolution of man. But even this is from the sense of separateness. I'm speaking within the game, right? The game is also God, is also what is. So it's perfect too. the intelligence of being knows what to say in the moment. It's not something that you prepare. Just like this video wasn't prepared at all. I never prepare anything. Just comes out like that. And the intelligence of the moment is really what you are. You know, you should trust that a lot more than your mind. And you might be surprised that it's not in any way against your humanity. It completes it. It is with your humanity. You know, in 1 year, all I can say is that in 1 year I grew so much on all levels. You know, not just, of course, when you realize the absolute nature of your being, everything drops away, right? But even on the human level, the absolute is not against the human. You know, it's one and the same. So even on the human level, you know, I'm much more at ease speaking to people. I had difficulty speaking and dealing with emotions, all of that. It's much easier now. Why? Because, well, the sense of separateness is gone, basically. So that helps a lot. Your humanity as well, because it's not like what is different from the body. Body and being is one. Right? Just feel that in your heart. Don't try to get it with your mind necessarily. Feel the presence of being in your heart and let that transform you. Let that transform your humanity. So I guess the point of this video was really to clarify this, that we are, as Teja said, and I agree, I always agreed with this, that we are in a dream of separateness. So separateness is not a mistake. It was created by God, or what is, to experience the game of duality, which is what we are doing now. And so the ego is not a mistake, first thing. Duality is not a mistake. And as dream characters, you might not agree with what I'm saying. Because your function as a dream character is to dream. It's not to wake up necessarily. And you know what? That's okay. You don't need to. You're fine just the way you are. As this, everything. Just this expression. Just be yourself, be you. You're fine whether you are in the sense of separateness or you are in unity, whatever. You're enlightened, or you don't care about spirituality, you're a materialist, or you're a narcissist, or whatever, or you're very empathetic. I don't care, just be what you are. In the dream, play your role, you know. Unless you're not satisfied with it, then you should change it. But what I mean to say is that we are in the dream of separateness. We are dream characters in being's dream, in the dream of separateness, as Teja said. So the dream of separateness is not a mistake in any way. That's the first thing to understand. Now, sometimes it seems like very few beings get that. Teja gets it. I seem to be getting it, but I always got it since I was a child, but I wasn't able to express it. I'm able to express it much more now since we've met. But few people in this dream seem to wake up from this sense of separateness. And you know what? That's perfect too. That's the dream. That's the duality. It's okay. You don't need to wake them up. They are fine just as they are. The spiritual ego, we tend to think that, oh, you know, I must wake people up. I must change them. Well, from the absolute perspective, there's nothing to change. All is complete. This energy, which is pure, immense amount of energy, appearing in a form for a little while and then going back to nothing, you know. And that's pretty much it. All the myths, all the religions, the chakras, and even the Indian religions are just that, just myths appearing in reality, which is just what is, or being. Now again, as dream characters, you might not agree with that, and that's fine. You might say, no, this is nonsense, I'm a person, and I want to make my life happen. Please do, go ahead. I wasn't able to come to this realization until I tried everything. and I still have one desire left. But if it wasn't, anyway, I mean, if it's meant to happen, it will. But apart from that, I don't have any desires left. But especially, I dropped the I. That's the most important thing, right? I think there's a saying in Zen like transcend the word, and then transcend transcending. Because transcending is also just empty. You don't need to transcend anything. You can only transcend something if you're attached to it. Okay? So you have three categories. You can be in the material plane, try that, been there. Spiritual plane, try that, been there. Or you can just be out of the game. You enjoy the game, knowing it's just a game. You're neither trying to win the game or trying to win the spiritual enlightenment prize, because that's also part of the game. Just this is enough. This bird singing right now, nature being here, present. Birds and nature isn't looking for enlightenment, it's just what is. So why isn't it enough for the human mind? Because of the dream of separateness. It seems like there's an urge in the human to complete itself with different things, money, power, spiritual experiences. All of that is perfect too. But the occasion, the opportunity in this lifetime for you and for us is to dropping, is to be with what is. And this is so powerful. I can't imagine how powerful this is. And don't have premature conclusions. You know, I used to say, yeah, but if I just live my life like that, I won't be in control, and things I don't want to happen won't happen. Trust me, as a control freak, I used to think the same when I was a control freak, which is mostly gone, fortunately. But my life kept going better and better when I stopped trying to control it. When I stopped trying to change it. And you know what? That's when it changed the most rapidly. How amazing. God's intelligence, you gotta give it, right? This intelligence is just immense. It's fantastic, you know? Yeah, that's all I wanted to say, guys, about the dream of separateness and ego and its role. This video is of course inspired by my favorite teacher, who's Teja. I will put a link to his channel, or you can just watch the interview I had with him on my YouTube channel. Why is he my favorite teacher? Because I always saw life that way too. I wasn't able to express it because I wasn't mature enough, or I didn't have the language necessarily. It's not easy for the words to come up and for the mind to get what I'm saying. And I always thought he had a very good analogy of talking about this, like nothing being everything. Wow, that's a very nice metaphor for humans, for us to get what's happening here, right? So of course it was very much inspired by him, but also from my own experience, because I always saw life this way, and I understand now that that's why I felt very uncomfortable in many times in my life, in many situations, because I wasn't seeing life from the same eyes as most people. I was trying to... They were in the dream of separateness, I wasn't. It's not it's better or worse, it's just that was the case. And I was trying to fit in that dream where I wasn't comfortable, right? So it didn't work. So that's why the shyness was there and many things were there, because I was trying to be something that I wasn't. So just be yourself. If you're in the dream of separateness, well, just be in the dream of separateness, but at least be yourself. If you're not, well, don't try to. You're not, you've never been, right? So yeah, I guess that's it. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.